going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Convince the Panel, and today is a very special one. In the last 2 weeks, we've had themed episodes. We had a DC Comics one, a Marvel Comics one, and this week I decided we're going to do a horror-themed one. I'm a big fan of horror, and I'm very happy about the guest that we have on today. It's going to be a really good showdown, some fun questions, some really awesome guests. If you're watching live or after the fact, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. And as usual, the links to all the guests you're going to see here on the panel and as the contestants today are all down below in the description box. So go give them some love. Let them know I sent you. And let's get started with the panelists who are going to join me in judging today's show. Up first is somebody who was on the first episode as a contestant and was on an episode for I think 3 weeks ago now as one of the judges. He's back as a judge once again, and that is Rashad of Rashad Reviews. What's going on, my friend?
The champ is here. The champ is here. That's why I got the hoodie on, man. I'm ready. Yo, I'm a judge right now, but I can't wait to get back on as a contestant and claim my next victim. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate you inviting me on, man, as a judge, and ready to get this thing on and popping, baby. Let's go.
Hell yeah, bro. I appreciate you taking the time. I wasn't sure if it was because it's the champ or you hadn't shaved your head, as a fellow not shaved the head kind of guy.
Actually, the truth is I didn't shave my head, man, but I was cutting a wrestling promo kind of doing that.
It's all right. I know how it is, bro. My head is a newly shaved right now, so it's all good. And then to round out the panelist is a guest who hasn't been here on the channel in quite some time. I had her on Random Rambling in the past. We've covered movies like Edward Scissorhands together here in the past, even a Disney Channel original movie. Very happy to have her back. And that is Stephanie of I'll Buy the Popcorn.
How are you, everyone? Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited, especially since I'm not a horror fanatic. So it's gonna be very interesting. I do have a hard shirt.
Nice. I'm very happy to have you on. Thank you so much for taking the time, genuinely. And I really love when Stephanie messaged me going, I don't know if I'm a good fit for this episode. I'm not really a horror person. I honestly thought that was perfect because I want that to kind of be what the show is about, right? We got to get the convince the panel part as being like the main part. So I'm happy to have you on as somebody who's not super affiliated with horror. Thank you to both you and Rashad for joining today as the judges. But now it's time to bring in the contestants who are going to have to do majority of the heavy lifting on today's show. Coming back from the first episode, who was a judge on the first episode, coming now to compete for the very first time is Elliot of IMO Reviews. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, bud. Thank you for having us. I'm really excited to do this. I had a lot of fun as a judge on the first episode. It's time to be in the hot seat now, so I'm feeling the pressure.
It's going to be great, man. I'm looking forward to it. Very happy to have you on. But like you messaged me when you asked me who you were going against, I didn't make it easy for you, unfortunately, because there's one guy that's in our group who is the horror guy for sure, more than anybody else I know on the YouTube space right now, and that is Norin Radd89. What's going on, my friend?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me, Anthony. Thank you. Elliot, you ready? Are you ready, man? You going to bring it?
The terror set in. It's going to be a great time, guys. Thank you so much to everybody watching live or after the fact, to everybody who's involved in today's show. And again, the links to all these guys are down below in the description box. Also, if I sound off at any point, if I'm a little sniffly, my allergies are killing me and I'm a little hungover. Chose to drink a little bit too much last night. So I'm going to do my absolute best to keep things straight in my head on today's show.
Fantastic. Same. I have my allergy. I have my tissue over here. So
I got some tissues from you over here too. I might mute myself a few times during some of the arguments to do a little sniffling, but yeah, it's going to be a good time. For everybody watching at home, quick rundown of the rules if you're not familiar with it. Today we have 8 questions. There is a 9th tiebreaker question that neither one of our contestants are aware of that will kind of catch them off guard. If we get there, it's going to be first to 5 points. Here's how this is going to work. After a question is asked and we know what each individual is going to be arguing for, they'll each get 60 seconds to kind of get the meatiest portion of their argument for why they are arguing for that thing. After that, they'll each get 30 seconds to kind of do a rebuttal to one another or expand upon their arguments, and then they'll get a final 15 seconds. After that, the judges and I will go through together one at a time, casting our vote for who we felt won that round. And to make sure that it maintains fairness, we will alternate which contestant starts each round, so it's not the same person starting every time. And equally, when it comes down to the judges, we will make sure that we alternate which judge starts first every time, so it's not the same person who would possibly have to break a tie. But it's going to be a good time. Remember, to everybody watching at home and everybody who's on the show today, this is all in good fun. So whoever wins or loses, it's going to be a good time either way. The links to these kind folks are down below. So yeah, guys, let's get into it. I will be keeping track of the time on my phone, so that's how I'll keep track of 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. And yeah, so let's get started with the first question. Do you guys have any questions on your guys' end? Anything you guys want to know?
No,
all gravy.
All right, we are all set then, guys. So let's get on with first question, which is flat out, who is the best horror slasher? Norin is going to be arguing for Jason Voorhees, and Elliot is going to be arguing for Michael Myers. So Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers. Fantastic argument to start this off on a horror episode. So Norin, we'll start with you. I should also add, your time starts once you start speaking. So if you need a second to collect your thoughts after like you've heard the rebuttals and you kind of want to try to think about how you're going to say things, take your time. I'll start the 60 seconds or the timer the second you start speaking. But once your time starts, if you start fumbling your words, you start making mistakes, your time does not stop. So just keep that in mind. So Norin, you're up first. 60 seconds. Why is Jason Voorhees the best horror slasher of all time?
Ooh, got my heart pumping a little bit there, Anthony. Damn, nice intro. So Jason Voorhees, I think, is the best slasher because I think since the 80s, he permeates pop culture still to this day. Besides Michael, who's had his run, and even the recent Halloween trilogy that we had, but David Gordon Green kind of effed that up a little bit. But Jason, even with the Jason universe coming out, which might be fake news, we don't know, who knows, but even us fans are hugely invested in this. Then we also have the Camp Crystal Lake TV show coming out. So this is something that's been going on for decades and decades and decades. And even the fact that we went almost 16 years almost going on without a feature film, we are still excited to see this character. And I think Jason Voorhees is just iconic. When you see the hockey mask, that's literally the character you think about, is that character. And I think in terms of the films, I just love them. They're just such this vibe of like mother's home cooking. You just want to return to it over and over and over. You love it. And it's just nostalgia and going back to it. It's so comfy. So I think that's why I love Jason.
All right, a good first start there. Elliot, 60 seconds for Michael Myers.
I went with Michael Myers for two big reasons, and that being fear factor and legacy. The guy's been on our screens for about 50 years now, and he's appeared in video games, comic books. There's been insane crossovers. Admittedly, it hasn't all been good, but even when it's been bad, it actually has been quite funny. Things like Busta Rhymes kicking him through a window, they're going to live with me forever. I'm always going to laugh at that. And the other factor that really works for me with Michael Myers is the fact that he's unstoppable. Like any of these other horror icons, I feel like I might have a chance with some of them, but with Michael, yeah, I might be able to slow him down, might be able to trick him or something, but he's always going to come back one way or another. He's just a never-ending nightmare that I just don't really know how to deal with, to be honest with you. So they were my two major factors that worked for me when it came to Michael Myers. He is the shape. He is a living legend in horror.
All right, Tom, you nailed it. 30 seconds for Jason Voorhees. Norin, whenever you're ready.
All right. So Jason Voorhees, I want to say in terms of iconic status, I think the fact that, like I said, he's lasted for years and years too. But when it comes to the unstoppable power, I think it's cool that Jason was once human, but then eventually died, and he still was able to come back. Yes, it was at the fault of Tommy Jarvis, who brought him back, but still, Jason did come back and was like a deadite zombie. So that was really cool, which I think is very unstoppable and scary when you get to part 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and stuff like that.
Time. Oh, you nailed it. 30 seconds right on the dot. 30 seconds for Michael Myers. Elliot.
If I'm trying to better Michael Myers over Jason Voorhees, I would say film for film, personally, I prefer the Halloween series. I will say this, there are some very good Friday the 13th movies, some that I really enjoy, and some I'd say are better than the Halloween films, but I think maybe because it's a more compact series against such a wider spread market, it feels like they're just sort of flinging a lot of things at the wall and seeing what happens. Things like Jason X, and there's a lot of fun in that movie, but it's also absolutely insane. Whereas Halloween has always sort of stayed.
Time. Final 15 seconds for Jason Voorhees.
I do admit that I would probably say some of the Halloween films are higher echelon, but I think Friday the 13th as itself, like for an example, even my son, who was a 6-year-old, when I asked him who he wanted to be for Halloween 2 years ago, it was Jason Voorhees. The first character he got hooked onto was Jason.
Final 15 seconds, Michael Myers.
Seeing as I've only got 15 seconds and haven't got a lot of time to think about it, he also decapitated Freddy Krueger in that movie, so that's pretty good.
Okay, time. All right, guys. That was a good first round. Getting the rust off, getting the gloves on, ready to start going toe to toe. Rashad, I was very happy to have you here on this show because you are a huge horror fan. So we got a little bit of a mixed bag with Stephanie not being super engaged with horror. You're big into horror. I'm also big into horror, but these slashers, these are a huge part of your life. So who are you giving your point to here?
Ooh, well, yeah, as always, man, this is a tough round. First round was definitely even because both of them, I can, hear their passion for both characters. Personally, I'm a Jason guy myself, so, I had to be sold a little bit more on my man Mikey, and I don't know. I give the slight nod to Norin just because I think he just went more into Jason and what makes Jason Jason and why he's so menacing. You know what I mean? So I give the short and curly to Norin.
All right. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just rip off the Band-Aid for me, only because specifically those final 15 seconds, I feel like Elliot conceded a little bit to Jason Voorhees' like cool factor by saying that he chopped off Freddy's head,
Yeah.
and I do think Norin maybe depicted a little bit more of just like the legacy of the franchise. His son loves it, a kid that today is into it, and why there's just such a cool factor there. So Norin wins that point, but as usual, I love to hear from the other judge. Even though we already gave the point out. So Stephanie, who are you going to give your point to?
So I do know these characters, of course. I actually do like slashers. Like it's more like, demonic things. Funny thing is, I don't know that much about Jason, come to think about it. I don't even think I've seen any of his movies, but I know of him, of course. And of course, I know Michael Moore, but I feel the one that sold me the most on it is Norin.
All right. Yeah. So Norin wins that first round, but it's still anybody's game. So you guys get ready.
That's right.
As I always say to all the guests, I know Rashad is waiting for it too. The first couple rounds, everybody's always a little nice to each other in the arguments. But I'll tell you this, all in good fun. But start throwing some punches at each other's arguments for sure. All in good fun, which leads us to the next question, which should be a lot of fun because the next two questions are bless you, by the way. The next two questions are kind of go hand in hand, but the next one is, what is the best horror franchise of all time? Norin chose the Evil Dead franchise, and Elliot has chosen the Saw franchise. Two very different franchises. So this should be a lot of fun. Last time we started with Norin. Elliot, this time around, you get started for the Saw franchise. 60 seconds whenever you're ready.
The reason I chose the Saw franchise as the best horror franchise is they encapsulate horror and Halloween for me. Having friends round, pizza, if you want to do fancy dress, have a few beers. They're great movies, especially the further you get into the series, to just talk through and laugh at and point out. And so I'd get out of that trap. That would be easy. That would never happen to me. All of that good fun that you can just have with Halloween and horror movies all just stems straight from Saw. That is the blood and bones of the franchise. And I feel like its tongue has got further into its cheek the more they've gone into it, and they've tried to get wilder and wilder, and the fans are just absolutely taken by it. They have no end to them. We'll all be there come Saw 26, the day that comes out, and you'll be there as well.
You got 15 seconds if you want it.
I'm good. I'll take it.
All right. 60 seconds for the Evil Dead franchise, Norin, whenever you're ready.
Right. So the Evil Dead franchise, I think today still is the most consistent and one of the most rewatchable because it has so many different levels of horror. There's actually films in the franchise that are serious and very scary, but then there's also some that are very campy and silly, kind of like Army of Darkness. And every one of them has kind of a tongue-in-cheek humor to it. Plus, they gave us Ash, which is one of the most iconic horror characters of all time. And I think you could argue that they are almost wash, rinse, repeat, same formula type films, but every director that has come into this franchise has came into it and knocked it out of the park. Even Lee Cronin, Evil Dead Rise, a lot of people might talk some crap about it, but I think the fact that he was daring enough to take it out of the cabin setting into a high-rise building and actually scare us with some really cool stuff, I thought was awesome. And I think the new Evil Dead that's coming out, they're going to knock it out of the park too. So for me, I think it's the best, most consistent franchise. Might not be my favorite, but I clear cut.
All right. 30 seconds, Elliot.
Damn, he's good. I would say in rebuttal that if you're talking iconic figures, you get Jigsaw out of the Saw movies as well. And I also would say that with Saw, there's also a lot of potential. I know Spiral didn't work for everybody, but I do think it showed that there are other options and angles that you can take this. You can have a spin on it where it looks more like Seven. Maybe you could look at things like Resident Evil 2, where it's a police drama and it's a horror. Things like that could definitely inspire it. I wouldn't mind seeing more of a Kojima take on it and being a lot more darker, especially with some of the traps and the...
Time. 30 seconds, Norin.
So for Evil Dead, another thing is I love the fact that they did permeate pop culture and having a TV show. We had Ash versus the Evil Dead. There are video games as well. And I think, like I said, in terms of the character Ash, it's just a really iconic thing. And the Evil Dead, it's just always exciting. Kind of how Elliot said, it just pulls horror fans in every time a film comes out.
All right, you got 9 seconds if you want it.
I do agree, though, that Saw, like I said, was like that too, that it did pull a lot of fans in. It is one of those horror things that pulls them in.
All right, 15 seconds, Elliot.
If I'm battling for Saw against Evil Dead, which I will admit, as Norin sort of said, they're quite equal films in some regard in their pull, I would say that there's more memorable moments in Saw. There's YouTube videos of the traps, and there's ones that stay with people because they scar them. That would be my final hitting point.
Final 15 seconds, Norin.
I think one other reason why it's so iconic for me is that Evil Dead 2013 is my favorite horror film of all time. It's a very personal one, and I hold it close to my heart. So it's another reason why I enjoy this franchise so much.
All right, time. That was a good one. That was a really good argument, and I'm very upset that it's up to me to cast my vote first now, because you guys had me like on the ropes, trying to figure out who I was going to give my point to. I think, as Rashad would say, with a short and curly, I would give the slight edge to Norin, only because I think that Norin just depicted like just the legacy of the franchise a little bit more, bringing up the video games, bringing up the TV show, the character of Ash, and bringing up the character of Ash then prompted Elliot to bring up Jigsaw. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Norin, but you guys both, like, you had me like just this close, because Elliot brought up great points too, as far as the legacy of Saw, that Halloween feel. When those movies were coming out in their prime, it was like a yearly event. Like everybody was going to see them. It was like you knew Halloween was coming because of the Saw franchise. And I would argue it's been a more consistent franchise than the Evil Dead franchise in terms of like releasing stuff. Evil Dead has disappeared for huge chunks of time, where Saw has had like that kind of staying power in the franchise or in the world of horror. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Norin. But Stephanie, what about you? Who are you casting your vote for?
Can I pass? I don't even know.
You can always try it and give Rashad the tough decision.
I'm like, because they're both.
Really?
I personally do love Saw, because again, like I could do dismemberment and stuff, and then I was like, oh, it's gonna be easy. But then Norin, you went with Evil Dead stuff, and I'll say, damn it. Like you said, it's like we're like doing ping pong. I'll say, I don't know. But I think I'll give it, just because of the final thing about social media with YouTube and everything, I'm gonna go with Elliot.
All right. So
Nice.
That leaves it to Rashad to break the tie nice and early in the game. Rashad, who you casting your vote for?
Stephanie, you knew what you was doing. You slick little devil, you. Oh man. Well, first of all, I want to say Elliot did a great job on selling me on Saw, just because I'm not a big fan of the Saw franchise. So the whole thing about like if I'm not a horror movie fan and you're like, yeah, man, what's a good movie to get friends together and watch a good horror movie. Like Elliot really sold me on that. But Norin just comes with the details.
Mhm.
Norin comes with the details. He breaks down, exactly what the Evil Dead is, why it's so impactful, and just if I never saw the Evil Dead, I'd be like, damn, that shit does sound interesting. So I think Norin did a better job at selling me on watching the Evil Dead, just for myself, as opposed to if I want to get a group of friends together. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Norin on that one.
All right. So that's 2 Norin and 2 for Norin on the board, but it's still anybody's game. We are still early on. I have seen complete comebacks in this game where somebody had a lead and somebody just came back on the latter half. So it's still anybody's game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, when you guys sent me your answers, I saw Norin
It's going to be
laugh.
exciting.
I saw Norin laugh when we talked about this last one, because the next question is, what is the worst horror franchise of all time? Norin is arguing for the Saw franchise, and Elliot is arguing for the Scream franchise. So this should be a lot of fun. Norin, you're up first. 60 seconds on why Saw is the worst horror franchise of all time.
Oh, for me, Saw, it's the worst because it had such high potential. I mean, the first 3 films for me are like upper echelon, top tier horror, body horror. I'm into it. And then every film after that, they kind of trip on themselves and they make themselves more convoluted and more complex than they have to be once they start introducing Hoffman and then this apprentice and then that apprentice. And then by the time we get to Saw 8 and then Spiral, you have no idea who's happening or what's going on. And the fact that we lose Tobin Bell, probably the most iconic actor in the entire franchise, they decided to kill him off in the 3rd movie and then had to bring him back by setting the next one, Saw X, as a prequel that takes place between 2 and 3. So they already knew they made the mistake. So one of those franchises that I think they got too big for their britches.
All right. Time. 60 seconds, Elliot. Why is the Scream franchise the worst? Sorry.
So I know I was taking a bit of a risk with this one because a lot of people in our community really like this franchise, but I, for one, I like the first 2, and then to be honest, I kind of just check out from it. And the longer that it's gone on, I remember watching the 7th one. I was so tired. I was just so tired of it being like, look, we're meta, aren't we? We're really meta. And it's like, yeah, I know you were meta back in the 90s. Can you do anything else? Can you do anything more refreshing than that? I don't know. Ghostface doesn't really stay with me that deeply beyond the phone calls in the first movie. After that, he just becomes a bit generic for me. So I don't know. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I do stand on this hill alone, but the Scream franchise just has never stayed with me really beyond those first 2 movies. And I think it's time to put it out of its misery.
You have 15 seconds if you want it.
Take it out to the pasture.
I won't annoy you any further.
All right. 30 seconds, Norin.
Oh, one other thing I like to bring up too about the Saw franchise is that when it comes to the kills, they are very iconic, but I always bring up some of the kills, and some fans and some people in the horror community, you can't even tell which kills come from which movie sometimes because they kind of blend together. When you do watch them in succession over and over, they kind of blend together a little bit. So it's just one of those franchises for me that it just loses me as we keep going deeper down the path.
All right, time. 30 seconds on the dot. 30 seconds, Elliot.
Ooh, what more can I say about Scream to make it seem even worse? I also think there's a lot of times where it doesn't make a lot of sense in some of their kills. Things like Ghostface being several people, spoiler alert, but he's always the same height, or sometimes he's a tiny woman, but kicks the absolute crap out of some giant football jock and makes it look easy. I don't know. He's always got the same personality as well, even though they didn't really establish one beyond the phone calls. I always find it to be very flimsy.
All right, time. 30 seconds on the dot. 15 seconds, Norin.
I do agree with Elliot brought up, though, that the Saw franchise was really big for the horror community, though, pulling people in and everything. But like I said, for me, wasted potential as you keep going down into the franchise.
All right. Final 15 seconds, Elliot.
I'll instead of slapping up my movie, I'll defend Saw. You get some amazing memes out of it, so that's my plus for Saw.
All right, time. Stephanie, you're up first. Who are you casting your vote for?
Oh Lord. Excellent points. It is hard. I feel that this is so funny because I had the love for it in the last round, but you convinced me, Norin. You convinced me with your points. So I'm gonna go with Norin.
All right, so
I
Norin
try
gets
hard.
one
I try
round.
hard.
Rashad, who are you casting your vote for?
Yeah, this is the toughest round for me because both of these guys, both of y'all mirror my exact sentiments. I have no love for either franchise, man. Like Elliot, I totally agree. 1 and 2 was it for me, and 7 was like, dog, like just let this franchise die. And Norin, yeah, the first few Saw movies, I was a fan. Then after that, it just lost me, man. So this is tough, man. I can't say a draw, can I?
No.
I can't say a draw.
No.
Man, well, you know what? I think because Elliot made me laugh a couple of times, because I've said some of the same exact shit that he said. I'm gonna go with Elliot on this round.
Hell yeah.
All right. But down to me.
Tiebreaker.
I'll say what you said to Stephanie. You know what you were doing. This is a tough one for me because you both make good points. And I'm honestly a fan of both franchises. I love the Scream franchise and the Saw franchise. But I do think for me that Norin just made a little bit better of a case for why he didn't like those movies. Whereas with Scream, it felt more like you were telling me I don't like them, and I know people do, and they just the first two are great, and then it was near the end that you were like, okay, the part about like Ghostface and different heights and the singular personality, all that, I was like, okay, cool, like now we're like getting like some like deep reasons for it. But Norin for me like depicted like right out of the gate like the convoluted natures of it, stuff I've always said about the Saw franchise. You get further into the franchise and like everybody and their mother has been working on their jigsaw the entire time, and they like recontextualize everything in this messy way. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to Norin, which means that it's 3-0 right now, but it's still anybody's game. Still early on in the game.
Wait, Perez, what's that last word you said? Recontext what?
Recontextualize.
Let me write that down. No, because Perez is helping with my vocabulary because he uses a lot of big words. So let me write that one down.
I know. I'm always like, it's good. It's this. I was like, I don't know big words.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
Jeez, you're like a walking Webster dictionary, man. Shit.
I don't know about all that. There's some reviews you can find in my day. You're like, bro, I don't know if this guy knows what he's saying. I've gone back and listened to some. I'm like trying to sound intelligent. I'm like, yeah, that didn't work out too well for me. But still, it's anybody's game. I would throw out a little bit of something to you guys. Just throw punches at each other. Don't concede to each other's points. Don't help each other out. Yeah. Screw the other argument. Even if you agree with them, just like knock them down for sure. All right. So moving on now. What is the best horror film of the last 10 years? This one should be really interesting. Norin is going to be arguing for X, the first of the X trilogy, starring Mia Goth, of course, as two characters in that franchise. And Elliot is going to be arguing for Hereditary, the Ari Aster film. So two very different horror films. Norin, you went first last time. So Elliot, 60 seconds whenever you're ready. Why is Hereditary the best horror film to be released in the last 10 years?
For me, Hereditary is exactly what I'm after from a horror movie. I like the fact that it isn't about the jump scares. It isn't some creepy monster that you're just counting down for it to jump out of your screen. It's real family problems. It's drama that people do deal with behind closed doors. And it really drowns you in that misery to a point that it's actually uncomfortable. It gets under your skin and you just want to get out of there. It's even noticeable in the sound design where you can hear this constant, palpable heartbeat running through everything. And you don't really know why it's there, but it's affecting you and you're feeling tense and wondering what's going on in this amazingly weird, crazy film that's also just so beautifully shot, incredibly acted. Toni Collette knocks it out of the damn park in this movie. I'm still annoyed that she didn't win Best Actress. I think it might be our generation's Exorcist. Those stories you hear about our parents when they saw The Exorcist, I kind of felt that way when I walked out of Hereditary the first time in the cinema.
Time. All right. Yeah, right on the dot. Norin, 60 seconds for X.
All right, so Ty West X, which is a film that went back and kind of did almost a 70s kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, but I would argue it did it even better, where Ty West knows how to even cinematography-wise shoot his film. The soundtrack is iconic, and like we said, Mia Goth is just chef's kiss, one of the best horror icons we have right now in terms of final girls, playing two characters in this film. Brittany Snow is fabulous as well. And I think in terms of X, it's just so gory, it's so gruesome, but it's also this film that kind of takes you on this path with these characters where you like them, you enjoy them. And when you see them die, it's like you want them to get out, and you're like, you know, on the edge of your seat, like, oh, maybe they'll get away. And just, nah, they don't. They get dispatched. And the fact that we get some very naughty scenes, even though they feature some older people. People argued about that. I think it was really cool the way Ty West shot his film. And like I said, in terms of just the nature of it, it is one of those films that permeates pop culture.
30 seconds, Elliot.
I'm going to follow Perez's advice and take my gloves off and have a go at X. I do think it's a good movie. There's good parts there, but naked old ladies with sagging boobs, it doesn't scare me, if I'm being honest with you. And and to be honest, yeah, there's a lot of sex scenes in it which kind of feel like it's just filling out the runtime and making the teenage boys want to come in, sneak into the cinema to check it out. Hereditary, that's a grown-ups horror movie.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Norin.
Respect. Okay, so for X, I want to say I love the fact that in the film, it kind of states what kind of movie it is. There's a quote in the movie that says, it's possible to make a good, dirty film. And yes, this might be a sleazy film. This might be a slutty film or a dirty film, but it's actually a really good film. It's like what horror fans hate to say, high evolution horror, or high elevated horror, because it's so iconic with the way it tackles its themes, cinematography, and its acting and the story.
Time. 15 seconds, Elliot.
For my final point, I would say that if we look back on these two movies in 10, 20 years' time, I think Hereditary is going to be the one that's aged like a fine wine, as well as their two directors. I think Ari Aster is doing some really incredible stuff, and I look forward to his next work.
All right. Final 15 seconds, Norin.
Let's see. So for X, for me, final 15 seconds is that I love Ty West and the style he brings, and the fact that we got the second film first in a trilogy, then we got a first film, and then we got a third film, and it's going to be one of the greatest horror trilogies of all time, even 20 years from now.
All right. That was a good round. That was a really good round. I saw the gloves come off on both sides. We're setting in a little bit. I guess Rashad was enjoying that one for sure. Stephanie had some smirks in there as well, some of these moments. So yeah, definitely over here on the judge side, it was fun to watch for sure. Rashad, you're up first this time. Who are you casting your vote for?
Oh man, well, first of all, I hated both of those movies. All right, and Nora, me and you, we already had our debates about X. You know what I mean? So yeah, I knew this was gonna be a challenge for me. I hated both films, but Elliot came out like Mike Tyson, man, like and landed the knockout blow. You know, calling it, hey, this is grown people horror here, and the whole thing with the old lady with the saggy, joints. You know what I'm saying? I felt the same way. I was in the theater laughing at that part. So yeah, I gotta give Elliot this round, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow suit. I think Elliot came out swinging on that one. I like X and Hereditary, but I agree that Hereditary is just one of those movies that's just like, it's just next level. The fact that Toni Collette didn't get nominated for that film is crazy to me. Probably one of the best performances from any actress in the last decade. Just that table scene alone is just like crazy performance. But yeah, it's just a great film. So yeah, Elliot wins that point. But as usual, still, Stephanie, I want to hear your thoughts on who you were going to cast your vote for.
So we finally made it to the movie that I have never seen. I've never seen any of these two, so it was really interesting to get to hear your points of views of whether I should or should not. But I think the one that got me was Elliot, especially with the grown folks horror. I was like, okay, I still don't think I'm gonna watch it. It feels too scary for me.
All right. So Elliot wins the point. He is on the board. It's still anybody's game. You guys clearly know your stuff. It's fantastic to hear two people passionate about movies talk about movies. That's my favorite part about the show. I say it every time. Having two people on argue for things that they're passionate about freaking epic, dude. All right, so moving on now. The next question is, who is the best final girl in a horror film? Norin is arguing for Kirsty Cotton from
That's right.
Hellraiser franchise, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah. And then Elliot is going to be arguing for the character of Grace from Ready or Not, a newer horror film in recent years. So I think we started with Norin last time. Who did we start with last time? Norin, right?
We start with Elliot.
Elliot was Hereditary, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm all over the place. That's that hangover talking. So Norin, 60 seconds whenever you're ready for Kirsty Cotton.
So Kirsty Cotton to me is one of the most iconic because in terms of the actual villain she has to face in Pinhead, she has to fight Cenobites from another dimension, a dimension that is a hell world, and she has to intelligently step up to these people. She physically cannot take these people out. She has no powers and can do nothing like that, but she has to mentally play a game of chess with Pinhead and these Cenobites and actually figure out a puzzle box while actually trying to save her father's soul. So I think Kirsty Cotton for me has always been the most iconic final girl because what she does eclipses everything that Laurie Strode or Sidney Prescott or any of them could dream to do, because if they ran into Pinhead, they would be dead in like 30 seconds.
We got 10 seconds if you want it.
I love the actress too. Ashley Lawrence is amazing. She's beautiful.
All right. Time. 60 seconds for Grace from Ready or Not.
So the reason I went with Grace, it's a little bit outside the box, is that for one movie, she made such a huge impact. I think she as a character is the best thing about the movie, Ready or Not. She's got such an incredible arc, and it's so refreshing to see as well. She starts off as this very thin, tiny, fragile, dainty little thing that you think anything's going to break her. She's having the time of her life on her wedding day, and her whole world just comes crumbling down before her eyes. And she finds herself basically being the prey of a huge hunt. And she turns into this blood-drenched, smoking, shotgun-wielding badass. And it's incredible to go through that journey with her. And you do it step by step. There's no jumping the gun. You delve into the madness alongside her, and it all makes sense. And there's some great humor along the way too. I think she really made an impact for that one performance that she had.
All right. 30 seconds, Norin.
So I'll go at the one performance thing. That Grace, yeah, we've only seen her one time, but we've had the chance to see Kirsty Cotton 3 times. She's went up against Pinhead 3 times, and she's the only person that's actually come out on top 3 times. So that's something that a final girl, when it comes to, like I said, the importance of what she did in the first film, what she accomplished, she was able to do that 3 times. That's like, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan status. Like she went to the finals that many times, and she walked out with that many rings.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Elliot.
I believe my girl could do the same. She just hasn't been given the opportunity yet. That's the only problem. Make her Ready or Not 2, and I bet you it'll still be a great movie, and Grace will still be incredible. That's my answer.
You got 20 seconds.
I do, just on a more serious note, I really do think that a sequel to Ready or Not 2, however they do it, could be really interesting. And again, especially if you involve Grace or evolve her character deeper, I would really like to see that. And I think other fans would as well.
All right, time. 15 seconds, Norin.
I love talking about Kirsty Cotton too, because she's also one of those kind of forgotten final girls. When, like I said, I bring her up, no one really thinks of her, but when you think of her accomplishments and, like I said, what she had to go through in those 3 films, it is pretty intense. And she's pretty ruthless too, if you find out she did.
Final 15 seconds, Elliot.
Mostly out of points for Grace. I think I've sung her praises enough, but I'll jump on Norin's point. He said it himself. She's the forgotten final girl. She's forgotten for a reason. She can't be that special.
All right, time. That was a good round, guys. That was really, really good. Both made really good points.
Good job, Elliot.
And 2 great final girls, 2 great franchises. I mean, I guess Ready or Not, I know has a sequel coming, but we haven't gotten that yet, so we can't know if the franchise is going to hold water long term. But man, Norin had me with the multiple films, always coming out on top. Using the basketball analogy, I was like, okay, cool. Like I think Norin's got this in the bag. But the more I thought about Elliot's argument, the way he depicts this like fragile character who like has her world crumble, and by the end she's like smoking and she's covered in blood and she's got a shotgun and she's just fucking people up. Like that was part of one of my favorite parts of that movie. It's like that journey with that character. So I'm gonna give my point to Elliot by short and curly, as Rashad would say. So Stephanie, who are you giving your point to?
I was also leaning towards Norin with the whole 3 movies, but then again, Elliot came with it's only one. And I do think Ready or Not was the Ready or Not, yeah. So Elliot, I'm gonna give it to you.
all right. So Elliot wins that point. Playing a little catch up on Norin there. Rashad, who are you gonna give your point to?
Well, to recontextualize what you said, well, Norin, you're right. She is one of the more forgotten final girls, but I tell you what, if I was going against you this round, of course I would have picked Nancy Thompson, but you would have smoked me on that one because, like you said, the whole 3 movies and what she was able to do, I would have had no argument with that because Nancy got smoked in, by the third, and 3, you know what I mean? So, but Elliot made me did want to go back and watch Ready or Not because I thought that shit was dope, you know what I mean? But I don't know. To me, I thought Norin just did a better job of convincing me. Out of all the final girls that we've had, she's never mentioned. But damn, you can't argue against the facts that Norin presented. So I had to go with Norin on that round.
All right. Well, that's 1 for Norin and 2 for Elliot. So Elliot wins that point, playing a little catch up there. But we still got anybody's game. This is a great argument so far. Moving on
he
now.
had me stumbling with that Michael Jordan comment. I got to admit.
Thankfully, I feel like you got enough in before that because I saw the legs get a little shaky after the Michael Jordan comment there. All right, moving on now to question number 6. It is, who is the dumbest horror icon? Norin is going to be arguing for Killjoy the Clown from the Killjoy films that started in the 2000s, I believe, and Elliot is going to be arguing for Pennywise the Clown. So we got a little double clown action here. Clearly, no fans of clowns in the arguments today. But 60 seconds, Elliot, for why Pennywise is the dumbest horror icon.
Pennywise is the dumbest horror icon for me because he's so frustrating. The first movie with Bill Skarsgård and the first part with Tim Curry, it's really intriguing. It's interesting. It's got such a great build-up. And Pennywise himself, an amazing character that you just can't help but be freaked out by, but also completely compelled by. He's just hugely entertaining, and he has lasted through media for such a long time. And they just burn it all to the ground with the second part and the finale. I hate the ending. I hate the ending in the book. I hate the ending in the TV show. I hate the ending in the movie. It's dumb. You can just basically be brave and say, screw you, clown boy, and throw a punch at him, and you're good. Everyone's going to bed tonight, sleeping peacefully. And if you follow the book, you're doing something even more disturbing. So he's definitely the dumbest icon in my book.
You got 10 seconds if you want it.
I'm good. I'll take it.
All right. 60 seconds for Killjoy the Clown.
So my argument for Killjoy is that he's the least iconic of any clown character because he's a complete ripoff, and he kind of is the worst because he came out in the 2000s, but has that 90s urban feel. They were kind of trying to hold on to that Leprechaun kind of Ghost of the Hood feel, but doing it with a killer clown, and it just didn't work at all. And like Elliot said, he named Skarsgård. We know Tim Curry. We know the iconic people who have played Pennywise. No one knows who played Killjoy. This guy is a complete copycat, a complete ripoff. And like I said, it's awful. You can't even laugh at it. And when you watch it, you just feel like you wasted your time in your life.
You got 20 seconds if you want it.
Oh, I think also Pennywise, when it comes to that, he's arguing Pennywise, but he has some of the highest grossing horror films of all time. And Killjoy, when you bring him up, no one even knows that that's even a franchise. There's 3 of those films. Going on 4. I was all 4. There's 3 of those films. I'm someone who's arguing for it. I'm like, there's 4. There's 3.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Elliot.
It might have been high grossing, but I don't think anybody was deeply engrossed in it. I do remember watching part 2, and it's so damn long. It's such a slog. I remember looking across the row of all of my friends, and everyone was just sat like this, just getting through it and just rolling their eyes at every dumb decision that every character makes. it was just so wholly unsatisfying. And I think it always will be until someone gives it a rewrite of some sort. Whether or not that'll happen, I don't know. So it makes it, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. All right. 30 seconds, Norin.
So I'll say that with Pennywise, I'm kind of arguing against it for him because of his iconic status. You know what I mean? Because it permeates pop culture and fans and people know about it. I could ask anybody on the street, they won't know who Killjoy is. Rashad, us, and Anthony, you might, but no fans, no one on the streets is going to know who Killjoy is. There are no fans of him. There are plenty of fans of Pennywise.
All right. Final 15 seconds. Elliot.
Damn, he might actually have me here because we've even got a Pennywise Teddy downstairs. But it's just, my point is that it's kind of a moot point. Unless they give it a rewrite, it's never really going to satisfy anyone beyond, hey, he's a fun character. And I don't think that's enough.
All right. Final 15 seconds, Norin.
For me, another reason why I hate Killjoy is because there's no memorable kills where they give him so many powers. They have opportunities to. There's just nothing memorable about this character. He's got like Freddy Krueger level nightmare powers, but does nothing with them.
Time. All right. All right. Good argument, guys. That was a lot of fun. Stephanie, you are up first this time. Who are you casting your vote for?
This one's gonna be real easy because I don't know who the hell that other clown is. I know Pennywise, and he's the reason why I was afraid of clowns. I've only ever seen the first one. I've never seen the other ones, but it's just like I don't know who this other one is, and this other one scared me. So, Norin.
All right. So Norin, Rashad, who are you casting your vote for?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Norin as well, just because I know of Killjoy, and back in my Blockbuster days when I used to work at Blockbuster, I always seen him on the shelf and never bothered looking at it. So and I think Norin also presented some quality points because like 4 movies and nobody ever talks about him, whereas Pennywise is the stuff of nightmares, and he's the reason my son stopped watching horror movies for 5 years. Because as a 2-year-old, he walked in while I was watching the projector scene.
Oh no!
Scared the little shit to death, and he was traumatized forever. So But with all that being said, Norin wins that round.
All right. So Norin has 4 on the board. Elliot 2. If Norin wins the next point, he wins the game. But it's still anybody's game. Elliot can still make a catch up. I have seen it happen. So Elliot, keep those fisticuffs up, my friend. But I for myself personally, I was probably going to go Norin as well, only because mainly I felt like Elliot conceded at a certain point, even admitting that he had the stuffed animal of Pennywise downstairs. It's like, oh man, like that was it. That was the kill shot right there. But anyway, that was a great argument, and I love that you guys both. Like, my favorite part is that nobody knows the answers, so the fact that you both chose clown characters just fantastic.
It's iconic, yeah.
So moving on now, this is an interesting one. This is a very subjective one, and so it's really going to be up to you guys to really sell us on this one. And that is, what is the scariest horror film of all time? Norin is going to be arguing for a film from 2020 called The Dark and the Wicked.
Yep.
And Elliot is arguing for the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So 2 very different kinds of films, 2 different eras of horror.
That's right.
And Elliot, I think you're up first this time, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think it's my go. Let me see. Sorry.
Hold on. I think it's.
I believe it's Elliot. Yeah, I think I started for Killjoy. I think.
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
I might have forgotten.
No. Elliot started with Pennywise. So Norin,
okay, so it's my go.
Yeah. To all our viewers, I'm sorry. 60 seconds for The Dark and
the Wicked.
Are you ready?
All right. The Dark and the Wicked from 2020, directed by Brian Bertino, who's also the director of The Strangers, which is going to help when I describe this movie because he's one of those people that is just able to pull his audience members along and kind of keep you with this tension and this thrill ride where it's not constantly scary, but it's where the camera's sitting, or sounds or noises, or like I said, even when it's just a dark room and there's nothing even in the corner, he's making you look in the corner, making you think something is there. Some of the scares in here are jump scares, but this is also a film that deals with very heavy themes in terms of taking care of a family member who's dying, and just watching a family member go through that. And it's like I said, your brother and your sister, and just watching your older parents pass away and having to deal with that. It's such a hard thing. So the fact that it's such a strong theme, such a brilliant director, and a great scares and thrills, I love this film, The Dark and the Wicked. I highly recommend it.
Time, bro. 60 seconds on the dot. All right, Elliot, 60 seconds for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The reason I chose Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the first time I watched it, and we had the blood-drenched girl maniacally crying in the back of the car, and the cold cut to black. I was in my chair like this, just pinned. My heart was beating out my chest. I couldn't quite put into words what I'd experienced, but it was intense. The movie feels dirty, but I mean like in a grimy sense. Like it feels like it's got bacteria or some sort of infection to it. It makes you go, ugh. You can smell the horrors in the house. It's a genuinely repulsive movie, and it does it to me every single time I watch it. The fact that it was banned for a very long time in the UK speaks volumes about what a traumatizing movie it was, especially at the time that it came out. Its legend is well worth it. It's a huge movie in horror.
All right, time. It's 30 seconds. Norin.
So we'll take the gloves off a little bit. Maybe it's just because the UK people are just, maybe you're too prude. You just didn't want to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You guys knew you were too scared to see it. And over in America, we were built for that. It takes place in Texas, you know what I mean? And then when it comes to The Dark and the Wicked, this is a film that, like I said, it strings you along. And even for me, someone who is well versed in the horror universe and seen so many films, there are times where my hair was standing on end, or where I was standing in my room looking to the corner like, there's nobody in here, right? Like, just checking. I'm in this room alone.
30 seconds, Elliot.
I walked right into that one, didn't I? But I'm going to back up the legacy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You won't find many people who will say they didn't find that intense back when it came out in cinemas. People reported as fainting in the cinemas. It was traumatizing, and it still is to people who experience it today. Your movie? I don't know about it. I don't know no legacy about that movie. I've already forgotten the title about it.
Time. Final 15 seconds, Elliot. I'm sorry, Norin.
Like I said, I like bringing this one up too, because maybe, Elliot, you know, it's like you haven't heard of it, you don't know the legacy, but this is one that's going to permeate. And I think over time, 20 years from now, people are going to look back and see, and maybe look at this one and be like, this is the Exorcist of our times. Maybe not Hereditary.
Time. 15 seconds, Elliot.
But will it live up to the legend of Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Because that one's going absolutely nowhere.
All right, time. Great arguments, guys. Great arguments. Two fantastic films to talk about. Rashad, you're up first this time. Who are you casting your vote for?
Ooh, well, Norin really sold me on watching. What's it called again? The Dark and the Who?
The Dark
and the Wicked.
Dark and the Wicked. Yeah, that's on my queue now. But not quite convincing why it's the scariest movie of all time. Whereas Elliot, man, when you were describing Chainsaw, I was getting flashbacks because that movie scared the shit out of me when I first watched it. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, you can argue say it doesn't have the best production as far as, like, you know, especially compared to today's times, but just the atmosphere, just the feel of it, like you said, you could just feel the bacteria in that movie, man. Just everything about that movie just feels dirty. And so yeah, you really like brought back some horrifying memories, man. So with that being said, yo, Elliot wins this round, bro.
Yeah, I gotta follow suit. I think Elliot won that round for me. You both made really good arguments. I think Norin really created a film that, like, I want to see. This sounds interesting. I want to see how it makes me feel. But Elliot just described a movie that's just gross. It's just like, it makes you feel kind of like it's got that creepy, crawly feel under your skin. I love the note of it. You can kind of smell the movie too, like, because there's definitely that. And I do wish you had brought up kind of the way that it inspired like hillbilly horror in general. Like it would literally spawn like a whole thing of hillbilly horror. You know, the Rob Zombie Firefly trilogy, and even one of the Resident Evil games is like, I think Resident Evil 7 is like very much inspired by that gunky, grimy, kind of like Southern horror kind of thing. But I will say, Norin almost had you with the ding about the UK maybe being a little soft on horror film. But on the flip side, I will say that I think the notion that it was banned there at all speaks to, the intensity of the film, its memorability, and it being a standout movie. So, Elliot wins that round. But of course, as usual, Stephanie, still want to hear your take on who you were going to vote for.
So the thing that made me vote for one versus the other was the description of it. And I personally don't find grimy and stuff like that scary, but I find jump scares scary. So my vote would have been for Norin, because when you said the jump scare, I said, nope, that's it. I'm not watching that at all.
All right. Well, then, still, that is Norin with 4 points. Elliot's making a comeback at 3 points here. But if Norin wins this last question, then he will win the game. If Elliot wins this next question, then we will be tied, and we will be forced into the tiebreaker question that neither one of our guests here are prepared for. So it's still anybody's game. Let's get into what could be the last question of the game, and that is, what is the most underrated horror film of all time? Both chose incredibly different movies. Norin is arguing for 2014's Zombievers, the Zombie Beaver film. And Elliot is arguing for 1988's The Vanishing. So two very different films. Elliot, you are up first with 60 seconds whenever you're ready.
So the reason I chose The Vanishing is that though the people who have seen it really like it and rate it highly, I don't think it has been seen by that many people. And the reason it stayed with me and freaked me out is because it's not about jump scares. It's about real life. It's a missing persons case and a mystery of what happened to this person. And you are just as eager as the main character to find out, except you're going to deeply regret finding out what actually happened, because it's horrifying and it really sits with you. It's a movie that tells you a truth about real life, that sometimes evil things just happen because people are evil. And that's really hard to sit with and go to bed at night and sleep peacefully and count sheep and think of happy places, because sadly that can be true of real life. And that's what horror is all about.
All right, time. Norin, 60 seconds for Zombievers.
Right. So 2014 Zombievers. I picked this one because comedy, in effect, is kind of dead now. And when it comes to horror, I feel like horror comedy is just brilliant. The way it's able to blend some of the scariest things, but also make you laugh. Zombievers is one of the most heavily rewatchable horror comedies for me. And like Elliot said, it's kind of like his movie. It's kind of unknown. People don't talk about these films. These are films that kind of go under the wayside. And in terms of Zombievers, I love the fact that it actually turns some of the tropes of the horror genre on its head. It's actually kind of a smartly written film. And we have some really fun cameos from people like John Mayer, who's almost unrecognizable, but has one of the most iconic scenes in the intro. This film even has like one of those silly gag reels at the end after the credits. So you just know when you watch it, you can see the crew and the cast and how much fun they had making this film. So I love Zombievers. I will always champion horror comedy films.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Elliot.
The Vanishing is a foreign film. It is from Holland, I believe, and it is slow burn, but stay with it. I promise you, give it a try. If you trust me, trust my opinion, it is completely worth it. It's like a Jack in the Box. You are winding it slowly and slowly. You know it's going to pop out at you, but it's just awful. It's horrifying sitting in that suspense, but they're all the amazing feelings that horror movies should give you. You should be wincing and turning away and knowing something bad's around the corner, but you don't know what, held completely in suspense. It will play with your pulse. It will play with your mind. It's a terrific movie.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Norin.
I love Zombievers because it's, like I said, heavily rewatchable. It's one of those films that you always kind of get something out of it because the jokes just land. And like I said, when it comes to comedies, they just don't make them like this anymore. And when we get to the end, a little bit of spoiler alert, but I love the fact that Courtney Palm, our lead final girl, is actually kind of the slutty girl in it. It's like, okay, that's fine. It's okay to be that way. And you can still make it to the end of your movie. You know, for years and years, they told us in horror movies, you can't do these things. You'll get killed. But like I said,
final 15 seconds, Elliot. Hold on. Yeah, did I give you your 30 seconds?
Yes, it's 15.
yes.
My brain is fried, bro. All right, go ahead. 15 seconds.
I've praised my movie enough, but for Zombievers, to me, as someone who hasn't seen it, it sounds like it's just riding the Sharknado wave to me. I'm expecting bad CGI, a pretty bad dialogue. I like those movies, but you know, come on, they're not everything, are they?
15 seconds, Norin.
Ooh, I would say that The Vanishing, for me, the fact that it is, like I said, such a slow burn and grabbing onto it, like I said, it might just be one of those films that is just, it will be forgotten, because when you get into it, it's just not going to be one that permeates 20 years from now or 30 years from now, where I think Zombievers, it'll continue to make people laugh.
All right, guys. Good arguments there. Two completely different films. I'm up first here this time. That was tough, man. Like, you guys, because here's Elliot had me initially 100% with the explanation of his movie, how it sits with you, kind of like the uncomfortable nature of it. And I was like, oh man, this sounds good. I've actually not seen it. I've not seen either one of these movies. But then Norin, then Norin had me with Zombievers, because I was like, oh, okay, like this sounds like a good horror comedy. My favorite horror character I have tattooed on my leg is Chucky. Like, I love horror comedies. I love the silly. I love when we can lean into the ridiculous, you know? And so it's one of those things where I was like, okay, cool. I think he's got me here. But then, you know, I think Elliot made a really good point of just like really doubling down on like kind of the feelings you want out of a horror film. You know, I often have people ask me like why I like horror when they don't like, if they don't like horror. Like, my dad's not big into horror, and he's asked me before why I like it. And I was like, it's no different than like watching a romance and like kind of wanting to fall in love with the characters, or watching an action movie and feeling like fulfilled by amazing action. Like, I want to feel something. And when horror can make me feel that unsettling, uncomfortable scare, like it just, it does what it's supposed to do. So despite my love for horror comedies, especially the ding at the end of Zombievers, maybe just riding the coattails of Sharknado and the bajillions of ridiculous horror films in that vein, I'm going to give my point to Elliot here. Stephanie, who are you giving your point to?
So I've never heard of any one of those movies, but one I have officially wrote down because I love comedy. And so that's definitely something that I would watch because it just sounds ridiculous. And Elliot actually ended up telling me more with the whole Sharknado deal because I like Sharknado. It's ridiculous, but I love it. I already rewatched it during Shark Week. So I was like, oh, there goes my point. So I'm going to go for Norin just because of the ridiculous type of movie. And then like somebody who has ADHD, you said it was a slow burn. I said, no, there's no way I would be able to get through that. I was like, I need something that's moving fast. If I had to stay with it, I have a hard time concentrating with it, especially if it's something I watch at home. Maybe if I'm in theaters, I give it more attention. But if I'm at home with so many distractions, there's no way. It'd take me like 3 days to finish it.
All right. So that means, Rashad, it's up to you to break the tie.
Go on with the tiebreaker.
I don't know. Rashad, did you hear me?
All right. Am I kind of freezing the y'all in a little bit?
You did for a second, but I hear you
tiny
now.
bit, yeah.
I think he's just lying. I think he just wants to.
Okay, is it a delay though?
It's dramatic. It's dramatic pause for dramatic effect, Rashad. Take that pause.
No, man. It just started freezing, man. I told you, streamer, I was going to start tripping. Hold up.
No, you're good. I see you right.
Can you hear me now?
Right now? Yeah, I see.
Yeah, we hear you.
All right. Well, streamer out if you're watching. All right, every goddamn time. Jesus. All right. Y'all can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we hear you. Is there a delay on your side?
Okay. I think it's a delay.
All right. It doesn't seem like the delay is too bad. So go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm gonna make it quick then. Yeah, Norin at first had me with the comedy thing, but then when Elliot came with the Sharknado comment, it left a bad taste in my mouth. So I think Elliot sold me more on like I said, the details. That's what really sells it for me. And I got more of I want to see that movie more than the Beavers. Even though I'm gonna get to the Beavers eventually when I'm in the mood, but I think the Vanishing will be more my cup of tequila. So I'm gonna go with Elliot on that round.
All right. That means that Elliot came down from the graveyard up, and we are tied up on this game. Great job, guys. Meaning that we get to go into our tiebreaker question. I always love to get to these because a lot of times I like to do these where people are not prepared. No time to prepare your thoughts. No time to prepare an argument. So it's really anybody's game and your ability to argue. Before we get to what will be the final question here, I want to say a big thanks again to everybody watching at home, to everybody watching live or after the fact, to everybody who's on the show today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join and be a part of the show. It's been a lot of fun, and whoever wins or loses, it's all in good fun. But more than anything, you guys can find the links to everybody down below in the description box. So with all that said, the final question. The last 2 weeks, I've done a DC Comics episode and I did a Marvel comic episode. And real quick, before I move forward with this, Rashad, you been able to hear me this whole time?
Yeah, I hear you. All
right, perfect. The delay's gone. Perfect. So in each of those episodes, the final tiebreaker question, because it was big superhero characters, was who would win in a fight? And so I decided to bring that over here into this episode here. So the question is, who would win in a fight? But you do not get to pick who you are fighting for. You're each going to give me a number from 1 to 10. You will be assigned. I have a list here. You will be assigned a horror character, and then you must defend why they would beat the other one in a fight. So whenever you're ready, Norin, Elliot, just give me a number, and I'll let you know who you're going to be arguing for.
Number 4.
I'll go with 3.
All right, 4 and 3. Norin, you have Pennywise.
Nice.
And Elliot, you have Chucky. So it's going to be Pennywise versus Chucky.
Shit.
Norin, you are up first whenever you are ready. 60 seconds for why Pennywise would beat Chucky in a fight.
Well, I feel like Pennywise would beat Chucky, maybe because I feel like the abilities that he has where he's able to, just make himself look like anything. Like he can play with Charles Lee Ray's mind. He can make himself look like a super hot babe and get him into him and then completely kill him after he flirted with him and stuff. So I think the opportunities and what Pennywise can do with his powers is almost limitless in terms of that. So I feel like he would just have the upper hand on Chucky in a lot of ways. Plus, we have height. There's another thing right there too. But also, I think Pennywise is just, like I said, in terms of a character, I think he's actually scarier than Chucky too as well. I don't think Pennywise would feel any fear from Chucky or anything like that.
You got 10 seconds if you want it.
Nah, I'm good.
All right. 60 seconds. Elliot, why would Chucky beat Pennywise?
Now, you might laugh at my short king, but he's got brains. He's smart. He's creative. He'll put something together. He's durable. He's also revivable. He might go into another doll with a bit of voodoo. I haven't seen all of the movies. I don't know how all of it works. I'm just going off the ones that I've seen. But he can come back from the dead. It doesn't matter how bad you hurt him. He can probably just put a bit of super glue on his arm and stick it back on. He might be laughable when you look at him, but he's quick. He'll get on your neck. He'll start stabbing you, and he's going to enjoy it the whole time. This is his bread and butter. It's what he does. It's what he loves. He's going to have a great time in this fight. And okay, Pennywise has got some magic powers, but like I said, these brains, they'll find a way around it.
You got 20 seconds if you want it.
And I reckon he'll use his voodoo powers from the bits that I've seen. So there is a little bit of magic on magic here. It's not completely imbalanced, okay? There is a bit more of an even battlefield.
All right. 30 seconds, Norin.
I still think in terms of another thing is Pennywise would be able to possibly get Chucky like in his actual locale or his area and get home field advantage. Like I don't feel like Chucky would have any home field advantage anywhere, specifically maybe Chicago, which I don't think Pennywise is going to really run into Chucky in Chicago. But I feel like anywhere else, Pennywise would be able to manipulate his mind and actually play into making their surroundings, like I said, some home field advantage stuff.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Elliot.
They're fighting at the Chicago Bears stadium. But my final point has to be one from earlier. Is the fact that Pennywise is so beatable. If you just stand your ground and give him an ass whooping, he's going to be like, no, get away from me, and just shrivel away into nothing and fall down a well with ash falling off him. It's like, come on, Chucky. He comes back once you get rid of him. He's a problem. He's a nightmare. He's a terror.
Time. Final 15 seconds, Norin.
I feel like Pennywise would also find a way to maybe even get to Tiffany, that he would be able to use Tiffany against Chucky, which is another thing too, where he would able like to use her real body or actually ask the real Tiffany to help him, and she would actually assist him in killing Chucky.
Final 15 seconds, Elliot.
Oh, I could use that point right back at you. We could just call it, phone a friend, bring in Tiffany, let's do a double team and take him out together. And then you got double trouble. Now you're really in pain there.
All right, time.
Yeah.
Great job, guys. That was
dope.
fun. Definitely. I painted a picture. Let me say this. I need a Chucky versus Pennywise movie now. Everybody wants the Megan versus Chucky movie. No, I want Chucky versus Pennywise. Stephanie, you're up first this time. Who are you casting your vote for?
So that was a really fun run, because I literally was just imagining them just fighting, and I don't know. I feel like, damn. I think the short Keen's gonna whoop his ass. I can just see him going on top of him and just stab. So Elliot, yeah, I'm gonna go with Elliot.
All right, Rashad, who are you giving it to?
Oh man, at first I'm like, man, I said Norin's got this one in the bag, dog.
Yeah.
Like there's no way, but man, when I say Elliot came with razor blades and lemon juice, you know what I'm saying? The whole get Tiffany, let's get Tiffany double team. Yo, he took Norin's best shot and threw it back at him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think Elliot came with that one, man. He went his bag with that one.
All right, and like that, Elliot has won the game. He came back and won the game, but man, what a good one. Yeah, that was, I don't know who I was going to vote for. So honestly, since the point's already given, who cares? But dude, you guys both were so great. I loved the back and forth, the tug and pull. You guys both clearly know your stuff. Norin, I love your passion for horror. I mean, like both of these guys, top tier quality content over on their channel. If you want nonstop horror and spooky related stuff on his channel year round, Norin Radd, you got to go check out his channel. And then over there on Elliot's channel, if you want just deep dive breakdowns of movies, new movies and old movies, you got to go check out his channel. I saw we got some love in here. There were some comments earlier saying it's time. We got to go Elliot, and then we got to for Elliot now that he won. So it was a great time. You guys really nailed it. It was really anybody's game. It was a lot of fun to see. Tough. So thank you so much to everybody who's been a part of this show, my fellow judges, and to the contestants. And don't you worry, I definitely plan on inviting on everybody once again in opposite roles. Can't wait to have Norin on as a judge in a future horror episode. Elliot's been a judge already, but I'll definitely get him on as a judge again in the future. I know Rashad is ready to jump back in the ring, and Stephanie, I'd definitely love to see you go toe-to-toe with somebody one day. Maybe not about horror, but we'll
horror.
we'll do something for sure. But as usual, I'd like to take this moment here at the end to just give all of you guys a chance to plug anything you got coming out on your social media or on your platform. So Rashad, we'll start with you. Anything that you want to plug over on your channel, my friend?
All right. Well, literally just before I jumped on the stream, I did a review for I didn't realize that the Ice Cube starring War of the Worlds dropped today on Prime Video. I know they announced it. I thought it was gonna come out later, but it dropped today on Prime, and oh my God. Check out the movie, check out that review. That's all I'm gonna say about that, man. That's right now.
All right, sounds good. Stephanie, what about you?
I really don't have much. I've been taking a break from YouTube, but you can check out my last videos. I did the mid-year movie tag, so y'all can go check that out. I'm tagging everybody if y'all want to do that. But other than that, I really don't have much going on right now.
Well, go check out Stephanie's TikTok, where she's always breaking down books and different things like that. You got a lot going on over there.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the TikTok.
Yeah. You got a bunch of content going on over there, breaking down books that you're reading every month and all that kind of stuff, which is super cool to see. As somebody who's not really engrossed in reading books, it's always nice to kind of hear your takes on books. Norin, what about you, man? Anything you got coming out on your channel or that just dropped recently?
Well, I'm going to be doing some physical media stuff once I get my Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake and the beginning 4K. I got both of those from Arrow Video, so I'm waiting for them to come in. And then I've been deep diving, kind of just going down the rabbit hole of watching a lot of vampire films because I'm prepping myself for a top 10 vampire list. So those are the videos I'm planning on.
Nice, dude. Sounds really cool, man.
There
Yeah,
should
like
be
great
no top 10
content.
vampire list, man. Lost Boys is #1. That's all you need to know.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. It's pretty high up there. I don't know. We might see somebody up there right here. Everybody forgets about JC vampires. Yeah.
yeah, no doubt.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Elliot?
So I've been a little bit absent lately. You're not seeing things. I have got a plaster on my eye, so I have been injured. But I have been watching movies, and I have got a big movie review catch up. One of them being War of the Worlds that Rashad mentioned, which is why I couldn't help but contain my laughter because I know the misery that he went through because I went through it too. So I look forward to seeing Rashad's review. If it's not up by tomorrow, it'll probably be up by by Monday. Like I said, it's a bumper one. There's a good 5 movies I'm catching up with on that one, and that should get us back up and going. I think there's films like The Bad Guys 2 is also coming out soon in the UK. I'll be catching up with that. So yeah, now that my eye is healing, I should be getting back into the swing of things again.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to know that you're doing okay, man. You're getting a little bit better there slowly over time. So yeah, it sounds like there's great stuff coming out on everybody's stuff. Again, Rashad reviews, Stephanie of Out by the Popcorn, Norin Radd89, IMO reviews, top tier creators right here that bring their own style, bring their own energy to the things that they do. Go give them some love. You're not going to be regretting going over to their channels or seeing their content in general. Really looking forward to all the stuff that's coming out. And yeah, War of the Worlds, we'll see if I get around to it. But all I've heard is it's absolute dog shit. So if I do it, I know I'm doing it just solely to crap on it. But I got to see everybody's reviews for it. I've been seeing the thumbnails. It looks like it's not a good time. So it'll be interesting to see
on it.
Yeah, that's where I'm questioning. I'm like, do I want to watch something? Like, I still haven't seen Happy Gilmore 2 that just came out, and I've heard so many negative things on that too, and I'm just like,
I don't know. I liked it, but I went in not expecting it to be as good as the first one. I knew it was going to be nowhere near the first one, so I figured it was just going to be a tons of nostalgia bait. And like me and my wife had a lot of fun with it, but I think it's just because I didn't expect it to be as heartfelt and as potent as that first film.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard mixed bag. I've heard some people say they like enjoyed it. They don't get why people hate it. And then there's been people that are like, oh, this is just absolute crap, you know? So I'm a little wishy-washy when it comes down to Adam Sandler. And there's just so many movies coming out right now. It's like a onslaught of stuff. But man, great content coming out on all these channels. And a big thanks to everybody who watched live, watched after the fact. Thanks for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. Stay tuned for another episode of Convince the Panel soon. You will see these faces return to the franchise or to the series again in the future. A big thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody who's on. We'll see you guys in the next one. Everybody, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.